and we're live.
Western world, we don't use mobile as our primary means of gaming. Mobile gaming for us is always in short bursts. It's when we're on the toilet or when we're at work.
Yep.
Also on the toilet. Everybody has a cell phone. However, premium titles have various barriers to entry. Think about it. You have to have a TV or a monitor, a console or a PC, a reliable internet connection to download, install, and even play the games that you want to play. On top of that, you actually have to have the money to invest to even buy a new title in the first place.
That's why, especially in places like, I know like poorer countries, mobile gaming is extremely popular. Because the people there have enough money to buy a smartphone, but not a gaming setup. And so they're all sitting there farming these freemium games.
The investment to play premium titles is so much higher, and as such, when we purchase games, we're hoping that they're going to return our time for our investment.
Yeah.
We want to play these games for 2, 3, 5, 10 hours at a time in one sitting. We want to put sometimes 40, 80, 100, thousands of hours into a title.
Potentially.
And paying microtransactions to decrease that investment actively undermines why we purchased the game in the first place. Now, you could say, but Ian, what about sports games? And you're right. Pay-for-power mechanics do work in sports games, but that's both a product of sports games and fan culture and the amount of time that those people invest in playing those games. They play it in short bursts, a lot like mobile gamers do. I would love to dive into...
I mean, each different genre for gaming is going to be totally different. The way people, like, for example, you can't have pay-for-power in, like, an FPS, competitive FPS. You just can't have that. Like, and nobody's going to buy that because somebody wants to just get shot by somebody that has, like, a better, you know, like a better
Star Wars
gun
dead
because
shit.
they spent money on it. Sure, absolutely. But, like, other games that are, like, sports games and, like, things that are, like, much more diluted and they're single-player games, it's much more easy to do that. And again, I'm sure that, yeah, Corona, Free Fire, Crossfire, like, yeah, games like that, sure, they're pay to win. But that's not the majority, and we're talking about PC gaming. Yeah. So, like, I do think mobile gaming and PC gaming is very different. It is just fundamentally a very different thing. And I think that it will continue to be the case just by the nature of the way that people approach PC gaming versus mobile gaming. It's the same as like somebody watching television versus watching a movie. Somebody watching YouTube videos versus watching a movie. Each person is looking for something different, and that group of people is going to have different expectations for each person.
Sports games and their microtransactions, but I feel like that's kind of for a different video. If you guys would actually like to hear me discuss that in the future, just drop a comment down below.
Yeah, you've got to compare things.
These are my theories and opinions. I'm sure that they are shared by financial experts at game studios, or at least considered before putting predatory microtransactions into a game.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of these devs want to have the predatory microtransactions. It's just that they know that it will alienate the user base. And that's just how it is right now. Now, obviously, it's very clear to tell, that you can tell, that a lot of what these companies are doing is they are trying to ease PC players and PC gamers into microtransactions. They're trying to ease them into battle passes, ease them into pre-ordering, ease them into, like, you know, just a little bit of power. They're trying to get you into it, right? Because after that, they can make even more money.
So it's easier for people to find value in spending $2, $3, $10, or even $50 on a mobile game in short bursts because they're only playing it for a limited amount of time. And they're not only just limited by real life, but they're also limited by the game itself. They have these time walls in place to keep you from making progress. That transaction makes less sense to a user when considering the value and investment of playing premium titles. Blizzard likes making money. They want to make it the smart way. In Diablo 4, we want to get stronger on our own, because that's the core gameplay loop. Now, looking cool, that's a different story. There's money in looking cool.
Well, I don't think that's really that, but it is definitely different. But at the same time, I think a lot of people would rather, I think if you ask gamers, would you rather be able to earn these cosmetics in game or have to buy them on the store? I think that if you asked 100 gamers about that, you'd probably get 95 of them that say, I want to be able to earn them in-game. Right? Of course. Yes. But the reason why they put them on the store instead is because they can get away with it without having people quit the game. It's that simple. If every single player quit the game because they added a microtransaction into World of Warcraft, WoW would get rid of microtransactions tomorrow. And they would announce an apology from Bobby Kotick. He'd be like, guys, I'm so sorry. This goes against the core of the game. I don't know what we were thinking. This was awful. It was disgusting. We would have never, ever believed this. So thank you so much for showing us the light. We will never do microtransactions again. But the truth is that they can add these into the game and people won't quit. That is the cold, honest truth. Whereas if they add in pay-to-win mechanics, people will still quit. That's just what happens. I've seen it happen for 10 years. We all have.
The only pay-for-power transaction that I could see eventually making its way into Diablo is faster mount speeds. And even that's a stretch given the size of the game's map and the availability of teleporting. Now, I'd like to take a moment to talk about some of the major changes that we've seen come to Diablo. And it's some of the things that, to be honest with you, I share similar sentiments on.
Okay.
I get why people are upset. I understand that you don't like the always online, and I understand that some people
Who cares if you don't like the always online? It's not going to change. Just shut up about it or don't buy the game. Like, they're not going to change this. That's it.
Diablo 3 was always online.
don't like the live service model.
Yes, that's it.
You gotta understand, Blizzard right now is doing what Blizzard always has done best. They're stealing from other games and trying to make sure that this title appeals to a much larger audience than it ever has before.
Yep, that's right.
And for the most part, they're succeeding in doing so. See, I hate to have to do this to you, but sit down.
No.
We're getting older.
We're not.
And
No.
we don't have the time to play games like we used to. And because of that, Blizzard and other developers realize that they can't just appeal to their normal target audience anymore. They've got to widen the scope. Even though we're the ones that put them where they are, they don't want the fans of Diablo 1 and 2. They want the kids playing the Fortnites.
And that's good. That's what they should want. I want them to want the new games. They shouldn't just keep trying to appease an aging audience. It's a death sentence to do that. I want them to make the game for the new audience, for the new generation of gamers. And they're different than we are. And we're different than the guys that were before us. That's what they should do. It's smart.
They want the kids that grew up on Destiny.
Ew.
That's what these live service models
No, they
are
don't.
for.
They don't want the
It's for the
kids that grew up on
longevity of the
Destiny.
franchise.
Why would they want that?
They don't want the
Well,
neckbeard.
no, it's because the live service model works.
The neckbeard is what pays for the fucking
It
WoW
fucking
token.
works. Every single game wouldn't be adopting this model if it wasn't making money hand over fist. That's why they're doing it. It really, I mean, like, it's not complicated, is it? Of course they're doing it for that reason.
They want the Zoomers and the Coomers and everything else under
No,
the
they
sun.
So that's
Just
for the
kind of the way that it is. I mean, I do kind of find it odd that we keep criticizing Blizzard and Diablo 4 for being a live service title, while also in the same breath constantly comparing it to Path of Exile,
which is a live service title.
a live service title.
Yeah.
So speaking of Path of Exile,
I like live
we
service.
should talk about the competition. Diablo 4 is not actively trying to compete with any ARPG, and especially Path of Exile. I would argue that they're not even trying to target any of PoE's audience.
I think that they absolutely are. Of course they are.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that go from PoE. I don't think that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to probably quit Diablo or quit PoE to play Diablo 4 all the time. Because Diablo 4, by the nature of it being a more casual game, is going to have a much shorter seasonal gameplay loop. But what they're hoping to do is to get people that play PoE to play Diablo 4 seasons in between PoE seasons. Or, I'm sure PoE is going to probably... I would bet that they're probably not going to try to release their seasons at the same time as the Blizzard seasons, because it's bad for both games. Because you have ARPG players that are going to go and they're going to play PoE, and then they're going to play Diablo, and then they're going to play PoE, they're going to play Diablo, or they're going to play Last Epoch or whatever. It's the same thing that happened with Classic WoW and Warcraft Retail, is that Retail WoW has a patch, and then Classic has a patch, and then Retail has a patch, and then Classic has a patch. It just makes sense to do this if everybody is simply acting in their own best interest. That's it.
While we don't know exactly what Diablo 4's endgame is going to play like, we can already see initially that it doesn't seem to have the same kind of depth planned that Path of Exile does.
No, I don't think so.
And I think that's on purpose.
Yes.
We see the simplistic design in their stats and their skill trees, and even on the equipment and itemization, it's all built for a broad audience.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, there is some markings for some decent diversity in builds and styles.
Oh yeah,
however,
the Paragon system
Diablo
is going to
4
be complex.
isn't aiming to be this mega mind, giga brain, 100 intelligence, 5,000 IQ game that Path of Exile has become.
Yeah.
Diablo 4 won't have 30
What the
or
fuck?
3-hour leveling guides and build videos. It's built in a way so that Ted, who just got off of work
There
at
it
Lowe's,
is.
can come
There
home.
it is, the casual Diablo 4 enjoyer. Ted, bro, he doesn't even know about this whole sexual harassment lawsuit thing. He's got no fucking idea. He's been wondering for the last couple of years, why the fuck haven't we had a BlizzCon? Bro, I miss BlizzCon. When are we gonna do another BlizzCon? Come on, man.
He can put his
These
kids
guys
in
still
bed.
exist?
He can sit back
Bro,
on his lazy boy.
They're
crack
the
a
majority.
beer, hop on his barbarian, and just whirlwind through dungeons.
Oh, that's
100%
I got bad
fine
news for
us
Ted.
hardcore players to take issue with that, us fans of the franchise to dislike it. However, I think it's entirely different when we start saying it's poor game design, or we write it off as a bad game when it's purposefully designed to be palatable for a larger audience.
Well, I think that it is a bad game for a lot of people. It's that they're not the target audience for the game. It's like that game that we saw earlier. It was an MMO with fucking these little stupid characters that looked like they were 8 years old. And it's like, you know what? 10-year-olds deserve their own game, right? I mean, we've got Diablo. They've got to have some stupid little fucking game, right? And it's just not for me. It's not a horrible game. I don't hate this game. It's just not what I'm going to play. So I feel the same way. I think that's how they should look at Diablo 4. It's like if you're all into like, you know, fucking masterminding like some PoE build or some other like really complex old school game build like EVE Online or something like that, then yeah, it might not be for you. And that's okay. That doesn't make it bad. It's just not for you. Like FIFA is a great game. I fucking hate it. I hate that fucking game. Every time I see it, it makes me mad. Fuck that shit. I hate that trash game. But other people like it. And I'm not the target audience.
Diablo 4 doesn't need to kill Path of Exile. It doesn't need to include the creative mechanics of Last Epoch. It just needs to find its own place and develop its own community.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to do that just fine.
Well, it already
now,
has.
I'm not saying that Diablo 4 is going to fail fans of the franchise.
That's a fluffy cat.
Really, dude? As someone who loves Diablo, I'm genuinely having a great time playing the game. And I think there's some things that are going to go away. I think there's some things that are going to get fixed. I definitely believe that like elemental resistances are probably not going to last very long, as it's just a system that doesn't really seem good for a broad audience.
What?
I don't think that there's really much of a purpose to elemental resistances in Diablo 4. I don't see them adding any sort of unique game.
Oh, come on, man. Don't be dumb.
I don't-
Elemental
I feel like
the
they're
core, yeah.
It's an unnecessary system that adds nothing. And I would contrast that very strongly with PoE. Because Path of Exile resists are incredibly complex.
No, it's not.
And there is a
It's the same
lot
thing.
of tuning knobs to them.
You just
And that
hit
makes
the button,
them
you
interesting.
put the gear on, and boom. You see if it goes up or down.
But other than that, Diablo 4 resists? Who gives a fuck?
I got it.
Fuck.
When I see things like that, it actually gives me hope for the future of the game. That means that there's still uber nerds that work at Blizzard that think things like farming multiple sets to fight for different dungeons, like old school World of Warcraft.
Nobody wants to do that.
That kind of gives me hope that...
No, nobody wants to do that. Look at New World. New World did that. People fucking hated it. So apparently that's not what people want, so let's not do it. Okay. All right, go. There it is.
As we get more exposed to the endgame systems of this game, things get better and better, and Blizzard sees how the players interact with these things and improve them over time.
Too bad.
Graphically, the game is gorgeous. The Vista points are awesome. Each class feels fun to play, except for Barbarian.
Yeah, true.
Voice acting is absolutely superb. The music is great, the sound design is spot on, and the story so far is pretty decent. Diablo 4 has the foundation, the framework, to not only be critically, but commercially successful. Beyond that...
It's going to be commercially successful. A lot of people are going to buy Diablo 4. We've had over 1 million people. These are either people who are pre-order Andes or double down enjoyers that hit level 20 within a 3-day period on the beta. Bro, Diablo 4 is gonna pop the fuck off. Double downers, yep, there it is.
Double downers.
Due to that strong
I think that's what it
foundation, the game
I'm
holds
still trying to figure
serious
out where the hell
potential
I
to
lost all
become a
that mana.
mainstay in the ARPG community. Something with far more replayability than, say, Diablo 3 after Reaper of Souls.
Yep.
I think there are a ton of valid criticisms to levy at Diablo 4, and it's important to discuss all of the issues that we have, especially the things like repetitive dungeon design or concerns about itemization. However, I think in the same breath, we can also respect the game for what it
keep
is.
grinding until I hit 45.
A solid game.
Continue the story.
Blizzard has been doing really well with Dragonflight, and it seems like some of those lessons learned have been starting
And
to...
I've said multiple times, I am happy with Overwatch 2. I haven't played it, so I mean, what does that really say? But it's just because I've been playing other shit. I've been busy doing other stuff. I'm happy with any games and I'm playing them constantly. I like Overwatch 2. I think it's good. It's better than Overwatch 1. I like it more than Overwatch 1. I like Dragonflight too. I think it's pretty good. And you know what? People are pretty happy about Diablo 3 season recently. So how about that? Yeah.
to be applied to Diablo 4 and maybe even hopefully some of their other products. Please bring back Heroes of the Storm. If Blizzard mistreats their employees or makes a bad game, we should call them out. If Blizzard makes a good game, it's okay to say it's a good game. I
think that's what the
bad
problem
game
is that
sucks.
people are like all one or the other. And I think that like if you are everything is bad,
Game is bad.
or if you are everything is good, I think
And
that
there you
is
have bad
equal
game.
delusions. Because you're not looking at things based off of what they are, you're looking at them based off what you want them to be.
There are a ton of valid criticisms to send towards
It's
Diablo,
fundamentally not reality.
especially with the repetitive dungeon design and some of the issues with itemization.
Yeah.
Where are the
However,
cheese
at the
sauce
same
packets
time, I
at?
think we can respect the game for what it is. A solid game.
It's a Diablo game.
I think that we should be able to call out
What
Blizzard
box?
for the
Oh.
mistakes that they make. Whether it's their mistreating
I
of
feel dumb.
employees or just
Shit, I
poor
was like
practices as a
cooking
business.
with like one cheese sauce
But I
pack.
think it's
of one
also
box.
important that when they make a
Did you
good
add like
game,
extra noodles?
that we can say it's a good game.
Well, of course it
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
because
Or
if
you
you
just use
say
it in one
everything
box.
is bad, nobody's going to take you seriously
Okay.
because they can't win you over. They can't win your approval. They can't make you happy.
Oh yeah, you're using. Okay, you're using 2-pound boxes. Never mind. Yeah, that's,
It's
that's
like, yeah,
funny.
but there's no reason
I was gonna say,
to
could you cut up?
try to appeal
Are
to
they already
somebody
boiled
who's
up?
already made up their mind.
Diablo
Can you
4,
put some onions in it again?
it's a good game.
Yeah. We don't
Anyway.
need any like.
I thank you guys for watching
know,
the video.
veggies, just
And there's been
onions are
an
good enough.
insane amount of people.
Unless you're just gonna
enjoying
put, like,
the channel
regular
lately, which
veggies,
is
and that's
a bit
fine.
on the overwhelming side, to
How
be
about
honest
that?
with you.
Yeah.
I try to make sure
Hell yeah.
that I stay varied in content. I don't really want to get just holed up in one game. I do plan on making more Diablo 4 content because it's probably going to become a mainstay game that I play quite often. I will stream it quite a lot.
I
as
hope
well,
it'll be good.
but I just really don't want to get myself holed up in one game. Like Blizzard, I want to appeal to a broader audience. So anyway, thank you guys for watching.
I think that's smart. Somebody says you can't say yet if it's a good game, but the beta has been good. Well, everybody knows that. Like, we all know that you can't write a rain check on the entire game being good based off of the beta. We all know that. Like, we can have a conversation without having to add in that disclaimer every second, because most people are smart enough to realize that whenever you say the game is good, what you're talking about is the part of the game that you've played. Everybody just kind of, like, I think most normal people get that.
If you guys ever want to hear me cover any type of topics like this around other games, or just want to hear my thoughts on anything else, hop down in the comments. I'm always listening. See you guys next time. Cat's laying down.
I think this is a pretty decent video. I do think that I don't think this is a good idea to make videos like this, though. This is my opinion, because all this does is it just enables. It's like trying to pull a toy out of a dog's mouth. It's like if you just pull it a little bit, you can just like get the dog to let go of it. But if you try to fucking pull that bitch out of his mouth, he's gonna fucking toy. Nope, that's right. Yeah, you just, because it's like you get people to just double down on their opinions. Because you're never gonna get people to change their mind on something. Because they've already made up their mind. And they're not stupid. So if they change their mind, then they're stupid. But they're not stupid. You're stupid because you think that they're wrong, and they're not wrong because they're not stupid. That's it. It's literally that simple. You're not gonna fucking logic somebody out of a position they didn't logic themselves into. Somebody that looks at Diablo 4 and says, wow, this game is so awful. Oh, it's so bad because of these different reasons. And then the reasons don't even make sense. Well, this is not a logical opinion. So you can't go and say to this person, well, go look at all these points of view and then, you know, at the business model. And it's like, because it's not based off of the business model. It's not based off of the current economy. It's not based off of the market extrapolation. It's not based off of market research. It's based off of, oh, I fucking hate this piece of shit. I played Diablo 3. It fucking sucked. This one's gonna suck too. That's it. That's it. You're not gonna. That's the real fucking point. That's where they're coming from. Yeah, Blizzard bad. All right, we've been talking a lot about Diablo 4, and we're gonna watch a video on Diablo 4, but we're gonna look at this one right now. Everything that we know about Path of Exile 2 in 9 minutes, which is actually not true. It's 9 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's do it.
It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 4 years since this beautiful man announced Path of Exile 2 on the stage at ExileCon back in 2019.
I think it was the first one.
Where has the time gone? Well, with ExileCon 2 just around the corner, here's everything we know about Path of Exile 2.
All right, let's hear it.
Path of Exile 2 will be a massive expansion of Path of Exile 1 rather than being a new standalone game, and it will introduce a new 7-act story campaign that can be played alongside the original campaign to access a shared endgame, the Atlas and mapping system we know and love. We'll also be getting some juicy graphics updates in part from engine upgrades and back-end optimization.
So I feel like Path of Exile 2, like, it's almost going to be kind of like Overwatch 2, where it's not going to be like a totally new fucking game. It's just like a massive overhaul of the existing game.
Which will make the game look more like this.
That's good.
16 times the detail.
There'll be plenty of new animations and environmental effects too. Just look at those arrows. And Character models will be getting some updates as well, but fear not, all of the MTX you've invested your hard-earned cash into over the years will still work in Path of Exile 2.
Yep, thank God for that. I've spent like, let's just keep watching the video.
One of the biggest changes coming to the game with Path of Exile 2 is the complete overhaul of the skill gem and socket system. In Path of Exile 2,
like, I think this is going to be like the main factor of the game being good or not. Like, cause I think like getting a 6-link is kind of important, but if there was an easier way to get it, I don't think that would be a big deal.
Socketing your support gems into linked sockets in your gear, you instead socket them directly into the active skill gem itself, which itself is then socketed into predetermined sockets in your gear. There'll be a flashy new skill gem interface to support this change. Orbs of Fusion will be no more, as the sockets and skill gems will always be linked, and you'll be able to find up to 3 linked skill gems from item level 1 to 19. For linked skill gems from item level 20 onward, 5 linked skill gems from item level 35 onward, and fully 6 linked skill gems starting at item level 50.
I wonder if they'll still have things like tabulas where like you can get something like this at like level 50 plus and then like send it to an alt that's like level 5 or some shit. I bet they will.
Also, did you spot that multicolored socket? That's a new addition with the predetermined gear socket system in Path of Exile 2. Gear will always drop with the same number and color of sockets based on type. Like this hybrid armor evasion helmet with a hybrid red and green socket, which means it can be socketed with either color of gem. Two-handed weapons will have 4 sockets. One-handed weapons and offhands will have 2 sockets each. Body armors will have 2 sockets, and helmets, gloves, and boots will have 1 socket each. You'll still be able to modify the color of sockets on gear with a new in-game currency, and you'll also be able to use chromatic orbs and jewelers to modify the sockets on skill gems.
Okay, great.
If you find a skill gem with more links than the one you were using, you'll be able to destroy your current gem to apply the level and experience to the new gem to obtain.
See, like, that's just a quality of life thing that just makes the game better. And I'm really glad that they're doing this, because I think Path of Exile has a lot of, like, really kind of antiquated ideas and old school gaming ideas. And the problem is, like, there's a few of them that really make the game good, but there's a lot of them that make it worse. Like, for example, not letting people respec before they finish the campaign. Like, I've said this before, I think you should be able to respec with no restrictions until you finish the campaign, at least. There is no fucking advantage to locking a new player into a shitty build. Why? Who is this helping? Who is this for? They don't have the currency to buy the regrets. They have some obvious quest items that they can get, but it's hard to even figure out what that is if you're a new player for the game. So yes, I really hope that PoE 2 gets rid of some of those old vestiges, and it just keeps the core good gameplay that they've developed over the last 10 years.
More links. Not bad. While the new socket and gem system may be the largest change that Path of Exile 2 will introduce,
that's probably the
addition of 19 new Ascendancy classes might be the most anticipated feature. The new Ascendancies will be tied to the new campaign, so if you want to play a Juggernaut or a Pathfinder, you'll still need to play through the original campaign to reach the endgame. The Ranger will be getting...
I think that kind of sucks. I wish that you could just get it from the new one. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's not, like, why. Why make somebody go back and play the old campaign?
A new Survivalist Ascendancy, with an interesting dynamic with the skill tree having defensive options on the left side and offensive options on the right side. One of the offensive options, Division, grants you 2 copies of compatible skills socketed in your bow, one supported by GMP and the other by Barrage.
That's really cool.
Potentially 2 7 links. The Survivalist will also have an Ascendant-like choice between Fork, Pierce, and Chain.
And I feel like what's really so nice about that is, like, that's such a quality of life for a bow user. Because, like, how many of you guys, like, have something like that whenever you play, like, with a bow build? And it's like you want to have 2 6-link spells, like one for single target, one for clear, but you don't really want to deal with it. So you either decide to use, like, you probably use your clear spell for single target and it pisses you off. How many of y'all did that? I did that many times. It sucks.
and the multiplication skill that allows you to save your projectiles to
Two
build
weapons,
up
yeah.
larger
Oh
bursts.
my god, gem swap.
On the defensive side, we have spell avoidance, which converts your evasion into spell evasion. Spell accuracy, anyone? The Ranger will also be getting the Beastmaster Ascendancy, which heavily supports the new shapeshifting abilities that will be coming in Path of Exile 2.
Oh, this is like Diablo 4. They stole this from Diablo 4. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe it.
This Ascendancy will grant
Wow.
you the Work At skill, a high crit shapeshifting ability which you won't be able to find anywhere else. You'll also be able to spec into Wild Shape to massively improve shapeshifting bonuses and keep those bonuses even when you are in human form. Ally of the Wild will give you a nice little companion that will work like a golem and provide buffs.
I think that's really cool to have something that's not a necromancer that has different minions and stuff. That's a really cool idea.
You can specialize into which type of companion you need.
And this one makes the most sense.
The Ranger's third new ascendancy, the Tactician, is possibly the most ambitious of them all.
What's that?
The Tactician will be able to continuously bombard areas with raining arrows, and even gain multiple uses of this skill, which will prevent enemies from attacking at range. Meanwhile, the Siege Warfare and Siege Breaker notables will provide massive buffs to your totems, like ensnaring enemies and making them take more ranged attack damage,
That's
and allowing the most recently placed totem to deal a lot more damage. But the most interesting of all is the Close Combat Specialist, which will enable the Tactician to use axe and sword melee abilities with a bow.
What the fuck? That's crazy. A what? A bow. You use it's the front of the boat because it's like, imagine that one of the classes just sails a boat around the map.
Developers did mention that they are re-rigging animations which have made things like bows using melee animations possible in Path of Exile 2. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
We don't have a whole lot of information on the other ascendancies, but we do have some names and concepts. Here's the Defiler, a new witch ascendancy. And the Arcanist, another witch ascendancy that will have a heavy focus on lightning damage and charging up energy.
Oh, I like that.
There's also the Reaver, a war leader ascendancy for the Marauder, which will grant powerful bonuses to allies around it.
That's cool to have things that are built more towards group content. But like, let's be honest, what is that really gonna be? You're the war leader and you got a bunch of fucking minions. I think that's gonna be cool. If that's actually the way it works, I might play that. That's badass.
And this, an unnamed
that's
Marauder
cool.
ascendancy with a focus on avatars and ancestral abilities.
Nah, this shit's stupid. I always thought every chieftain build I ever seen's been stupid. Except for the one I played. And that one was stupid too. Man, that one pissed me the fuck off. I hated that shit.
What the hell's going on?
New ascendancies are pretty exciting, but there's also going to be new weapon types
Can
too.
you fight the dumb boss?
We know of at least two of them. The crossbow and the spear.
Crossbow.
There's a
Well, how can it
bubble
be a
bump.
crossbow if it's attacked 1.1 seconds? Like, I feel like that's... I feel like if you use a crossbow, like, you should only be able to attack, like, every 3 seconds, but, like, whenever you do attack, it'll do, like, something crazy. I feel like that the idea of a crossbow is that you do, like, big dick hits. Slower than bows? Yeah, hell yeah.
These new weapons seem to hint at a new direction in terms of
Stone.
gameplay in regards to your choice of weapon, as both of them
I just can't see, like, what's the difference
Ice
between...
field.
Oh, so is a crossbow, like...
will grant new skills.
Oh, okay, so there's
Crossbows
a
grant
bubble belt in this
implicit
area.
attack skills
Shit,
such
hell
as
yeah,
Power
let's
Shot,
go.
a high damage single target ability. Instead of socketing attack skills, you can socket crossbow bolt types to augment the attack abilities and change what they do. We know of at
I
least
just wonder how much different is that going to be from bow on a functional level.
3 types of bolts. Armor piercing, incendiary, and permafrost. Meanwhile, the spear will allow you to use new engage and disengage abilities to provide freedom of movement and more interesting combat.
Okay.
Aside from what we've already discussed in this video, there are a few more tidbits of information we have about Path of Exile 2. We know that there will be a new gem type called meta gems, which the developers described as the opposite of an active skill gem.
They stole that from Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft. Yeah. Look at that.
Instead of socketing support gems into an active skill gem,